Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. Today, we are going to try and decode one of the most fascinating, tumultuous, and honestly, frequently misunderstood mysteries on the planet. I'm talking about adolescent behavior. If you've ever looked at a teenager and just wondered what on earth were they thinking, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to lean on the incredible insights of neuroscientist Francis E. Jensen to map out the actual biological reality of adolescence. We're going to transform all that confusion into clarity and reveal the hidden mechanics of a brain that is, quite literally, under construction.
Okay, let's dive right in by asking a genuinely baffling question. It's one that perfectly captures the sheer confusion of raising or teaching a teenager. Why blow the smoke back inside? Let me set the scene for you with a highly relatable and incredibly frustrating little anecdote. Picture this. It's a freezing winter night. A mother walks into her teenager's bedroom and catches him smoking pot. Now, he has his window wide open to hide the evidence, right? But he completely failed to account for basic physics. The freezing cold wind is blowing the smoke directly back into his bedroom. From an adult's perspective, this is just a mind-bogglingly poor decision. But to a neuroscientist, this isn't just a risky, foolish choice. It's actually a literal peek into the highly unique developmental journey of the adolescent mind.
To get past our own frustration, we really have to understand something called neuroplasticity. You see, a teenager might look like a young adult on the outside, but inside, they're immersed in a period of profound biological transformation. Their brain is highly adaptable. It's evolving and learning from its environment at a blistering pace. During this phase, teens actually learn incredibly well through trial and error. Every single mistake they make is actually a powerful teacher. It's etching well-worn paths into their memory, kind of like an explorer carving a trail through a really dense forest. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the teenage brain. Think of it as an incredibly powerful machine, like a super speedy Ferrari, but it's being driven by someone who simply hasn't learned the controls yet. They've got all the horsepower in the world, but they don't quite have the steering or the brakes figured out.
So, why the Ferrari effect? Well, it literally comes down to their underlying biology. The teenage brain has an absolute abundance of gray matter. This is exactly why their potential is so high and why they're capable of massive learning and rapid adaptation. However, and this is the kicker, they are severely lacking in white matter. White matter is what provides streamlined neural efficiency, stability, and crucial communication between different parts of the brain. Because that white matter, specifically a protein called myelin, just hasn't fully developed yet, their ability to make mature, efficient, long-term decisions is physically hindered. It's not just them being stubborn, it's biology. Section 1. The power of sleep. Why teens transform into night owls.
8.5 to 9.5. That is the exact number of hours of sleep the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends for teenagers every single night for optimal brain function. You see, during adolescence, a teen's biological clock physically transforms. They really aren't trying to be difficult when they stay up super late and crave those weekend sleep-ins. Their brain remains highly active long into the night, processing a total whirlwind of fresh academic and social data. But here is the really dangerous reality. Alarmingly, a ton of teens get less than 6.5 hours of sleep. And when they are starved of those crucial hours, the hidden toll is absolutely severe. Sleep isn't just rest, right? It's the silent force acting as a binder of memories and experiences. Without it, problem-solving and creativity just plummet. But look at the emotional and physical consequences. You get heightened emotional volatility and severely impaired judgment. Remember that Ferrari? Yeah, it gets even harder to steer. Physically, these sleep deficits are even linked to tangible health issues like acne, diabetes, and hypertension. Every single hour of rest for a teenager is biologically profound. Section 2. The risks of addiction. A swift path to lifelong dependency. Get this. 90% of new smokers try their very first cigarette before turning 18. The teenage brain's vulnerability means that these early encounters can instantly cement a lifetime of serious, long-term health risks. This isn't just about some rebellious phase. We're talking about a highly adaptable brain rapidly absorbing a harmful chemical habit. Let's break down how this vulnerability builds across different vices, looking at the specific, lasting biological impacts. Take alcohol first. Because the teen's brain is so incredibly adaptable, it can actually mask the sedative effects of alcohol way better than an adult's can. But that's a total trap, because binge drinking during this time causes significant, lasting cognitive and emotional harm. Next up, marijuana. The brain naturally produces cannabinoids, which means the psychoactive element, THC, binds incredibly easily to those receptors. This hinders vital neural pathways and creates unnecessary stress and paranoia. And hey, it's not just chemicals. Digital devices stimulate the teen brain's pleasure centers identically to substance use. This excessive screen time is now directly linked to severe mood disorders. Section 3. Navigating stress and anxiety, the internal and external emotional turbulence. So, what actually happens when a teen gets stressed? Let's walk chronologically through this overwhelming biological fight-or-flight sequence. Step 1. The brain's emotional center, the amygdala, senses a threat. And because the rational part of the brain isn't fully online yet, it reacts with an ancient urgency that's literally ingrained in our DNA. Step 2. It orders the adrenal glands to unleash adrenaline, as if they are fighting for basic survival. Step 3. The hormone cortisol begins to rampage through their system. This creates a massive daily emotional imbalance, putting incredible strain on their developing stress management systems. And sadly, that can ultimately lead to clinical depression or severe anxiety. Because the teenage brain is experiencing such crazy internal turbulence, parental vigilance is absolutely life-saving. Consider the really emotional story of a mother named Kaylin. She didn't just write off her son's persistent behavioral changes as standard teenage angst. She stayed keenly observant. By proactively stepping in and advocating for him, she was actually able to identify his developing schizophrenia early on and secure timely medical intervention. This really highlights the high-stakes importance of closely watching how your teenager manages their stress. This brings us to a stark, absolutely crucial warning about what happens when medical intervention does become necessary. The FDA mandates black box warnings for antidepressants approved for youth, drugs like Prozac, Lexapro, and Zoloft. Why? Because the very medication meant to help them can trigger severe side effects, including suicidal thoughts in that still developing adolescent brain. It just reinforces that helping a highly stressed teen requires immense, continued care, super open dialogue with healthcare providers, and extreme attention to any behavioral shifts after a prescription is filled. Section 4. The empathy bridge, turning science into practical action. Okay, so we've seen the vulnerabilities, the lack of white matter, the sleep deficits, the susceptibility to addiction and stress. But how do we actually fix this? Here is your action plan. First, embrace continuous, open dialogue. Don't lecture them, converse with them. Explain to them how their brains actually work and why natural rest is a biological necessity. Second, help them establish balanced routines that prioritize that 8.5 to 9.5 hours of sleep, mixing study with refreshing rest to build up their resilience. Third, stay hyper-vigilant. You are the guardrails for that Ferrari, right? Watch for persistent behavioral shifts or signs of digital and chemical dependency. And finally, if things feel wrong, act quickly and always seek detailed, informed medical guidance. We're going to end our explainer today with a challenge for you. The next time you see a teenager making a genuinely baffling choice, like letting the freezing winter wind blow the smoke right back into their bedroom, how are you going to respond? You now know that they are navigating a dense forest of neuroplasticity, literally building the very pathways of their adult mind. So I challenge you. Use the science of this Ferrari brain to replace your momentary frustration with deep, supportive empathy today. Be the guide that they so desperately need. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I will see you next time.